I'm Nick from Nicolas Cagefighter. You're listening to FANTASM Podcast.
Phantasm.
Maximum terror.
That's your target audience, baby!
Phantasm.
And you know something? I sort of enjoyed it.
Phantasm.
Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal! Sell the metal!
Phantasm.
Hey, this is Dr. Vincent West, medical doctor with the Phantasm Podcast, and with me today, we've got Nick from Nicolas Cagefighter, and we're going to be talking about their new album that comes out Friday on Metal Blade, The Bones That Grew From Pain. Sir, how are you doing, and how is Australia?
Yeah, very well, thank you, man. We're doing great down here. Just looking forward to the tour, which we've got coming up in a couple of weeks, and just looking to the future.
Awesome. Real quick, for our listeners and myself, can you talk about, before we jump into this great album, can you talk about like your role as like when you first joined the band, or how the band came about for you, like your role in that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the band had been established quite a fair while before I actually joined it. I think the guys ended up first starting in around about 2008 or so.
Okay.
Going through until about 2012, 2013.
Nice.
They ended up basically going on a sort of indefinite hiatus. There was a handful of just issues and crap, and life gets in the way and whatnot, so they sort of put it to rest for a while. A major venue in Backlight called Corova Lounge, which had been around for like 40 or 50 odd years, they closed their doors, the business itself, the venue's still there, thankfully, but so that Corova Lounge had always been a staple in the Backlight scene for heavy music, and they decided to do an honorary sort of one last night of metal, basically, and got a handful of all the big old Backlight bands together to sort of do like a farewell show.
Nice.
A couple of newer up-and-coming bands playing it as well. It was really cool, man. It was an awesome gig, massive turnout. It was really, really cool to see. Lots of old heads and lots of new people in the scene as well.
Excellent.
Justin, the guitarist, he basically reached out to me, and because we'd sort of known each other through the scene, just bumping into each other at gigs and social media and whatnot. He reached out to me and asked if I wanted to actually do a fill-in and actually get up on the stage to help him send it off, and I jumped at the opportunity. I'd always been a fan of their music, and it sort of just went from there. We got together and we jammed and we practiced, and we're sort of just feeling the groove. We're all really enjoying actually being able to play, and pretty much since day one we've all got along really, really well together. We've just sort of all clicked and gelled, and it was probably after only about 2 or 3 practices prior to the actual gig where we said, "No, fuck it, let's keep doing it. This is fun.
Right.
We love it. Why not?" It's just all gone since there.
That's fantastic. Let's jump into this album. It's really, really good. What can you tell us about the first track, Grey Eye?
So this one it's just sort of meant to be like a stage setup, I suppose. There's not really too much substantial meaning, I suppose, behind the lyrics. Just for like a little bit of context with the EP that we put out, it was the whole premise and concept behind it was meant to be very sort of internalized or sort of inward issues. It was very much so about the self. This album, I sort of wanted to take that lyrical direction and focus on more on the outwards and people around me, while still having a little bit of crossover to the self as well. So this is kind of just like one of the fuck you songs. It's like just sort of sets the pace for the whole album, and basically just has a dig at people who don't really take accountability for things in their own life, and just a call out track, basically. Nothing too crazy or nothing too
nice.
Too much substantial meaning behind it, but the fuck you.
Gotcha. Track 2, Shrine of Wire.
Yeah, so this one, it's supposed to be a bit of an observation on how, as a society, I've seen at least, people that sort of claim that they support or believe in, or so-called, I suppose, allies of people that do live with mental health problems or people that do have internal issues. I see, at least I have definitely seen more people who make a statement out of supporting people with those issues rather than actually supporting people with those kinds of issues.
Sure.
So, yeah, there's sort of chorus lines of it. Romanticizing mental illness has become a fashion statement. It's just designed to basically make you think about, do I actually do anything to help the people around me, or do I just say I do for the clout of it?
Right. It's a killer track. Let's see, Coughing... yeah, of course, thank you. Track 3, Coughing Nails.
Basically a continuation of Shrine of Wire in that sense. I did actually struggle fleshing out the lyrics on this one a little bit, truthfully. But it was, basically meant to continue on that theme and saying that that's sort of like the next step of it. What happens when you actually don't reach out to those people around you, and then, they actually, if they take matters into their own hands, or if they do start to spiral downwards. I've seen at least a lot of my friends, I've lost a couple of friends, and I've seen a lot of people really sort of go off the rails because they don't actually have that support network around them.
Sure.
And that's just basically meant to be the continuation. It's the second part to that story, really.
Fantastic. As someone that suffers from severe PTSD, I thank you for that, for making the statement. You're welcome. But that's the whole point of this, just to, I suppose, to trigger that thought within people, to make them actually sort of, assess their own actions and think about the way they actually do sort of treat the people around them, or if they have actually been in that situation where, they actually could have done something for somebody they care about but didn't. Absolutely.
That's the point of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Track 4, Static Abyss.
So this is where there's definitely a big switch up in the lyrical theme. This is, I suppose, probably one of the more preachy tracks off the album, I suppose, but I actually am a really big fan of this one. I tried to do a little bit more, I suppose, imagery within the lyrics. It wasn't meant to be quite just as literal points, but this one is basically about how humankind basically is destroying the planet, we literally are mining the fucking earth apart and chopping down forests relentlessly.
Sure.
And that, if we don't actually think about the direction that we are heading in that regard, if we do just continue to tear the earth apart without actually, putting much forethought into what is actually going to be left behind, there's only so long that life can sort of be sustained like so.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's another burner. It's a great song. Track 5, The Bones That Grew From Pain.
So this one is really like the homage back to the Cast You Out EP in terms of lyrical content, because this one really is about as internal of a track as it can be. This one really is just still about, the internal pain that we deal with and live with, and in a sense how that pain does actually reflect into the way that you view the world around you. There are some moments in the track where I sort of speak out to listeners saying, don't let yourself succumb to the same sort of fear and pain that I live with, inside me. I can go through this, but I still believe that I can help you get through it as well. I do really like this one. This one, there certainly are a lot more lyrics to this, I think, than any other song. I suppose just because this is sort of like the most personal one of it, so it is one of my favourites in that sense.
Fantastic. Yeah, another really good track. Track 6, Weeping Sores.
So again, similar to how Coughing Nails was like a continuation of Shrine of Wine, this one's a little bit of a continuation of The Bones. Big deal, big portion at least of the issues that I have dealt with have come from addiction in some form or another, and that's basically what this is about. I kind of wanted to leave the lyrics on this one relatively sparse and not super direct. I wanted it to be a little bit sort of open to interpretation, but the basic premise behind it is that it's very easy to hyperfixate on just consuming to, you know, get over the problems that you have, or to use it as a means to get past the pain that you live with, and that you just sort of need to, you know, tear that wound open at some point or another, so that way you can, you know, get past it, clear your head, and yeah, be able to move forward.
Excellent. Let's see, track 7, Compound and Fracture.
So this one's basically just about the rat race and like a 40-hour working week. There's one line in it that I actually am a really big fan of. It just, has the 40-hour week fucked you over yet? You know, it's sort of harkening back to Grey Eyes. It's like, it's very easy to say, you know, oh, woe is me, oh, my fucking life sucks, you know, the system's set up to make me fail. And like, don't get me wrong, it is fucking hard trying to balance, you know, like having a day job and also maintaining a life of your own and having some sort of like interest or something that you can call your own.
Sure.
But, you know, fuck, unless you're actually willing to go out and take it and do that, there's only so much that you can actually, you know, facilitate to grow within your own life. So this one's actually kind of like a personal motivator for me as well, because it's like, fuck, even just when we go to practice after work, it's like, I'm fucking tired, man. You know, when you're getting like 10, 15,000 steps in your day and you spend 8 hours talking to different people and solving other people's shit, it's like, fuck, now I've actually got to go and do something for myself as well.
Right, exactly. Track 8, Foundation.
Yeah, this is probably like the most, definitely was like the political song. I felt it would kind of be a little bit, not really doing the album justice if I did an album that was focused on external issues and the problems that I sort of see in the world, if I didn't do something that was sort of political. It seems like things are kind of improving, but here in Australia, politics is just fucked, man. We've got some of the shit that our politicians do and get away with is just downright insane. I'm not going to ramble for too long because nobody really wants to hear me just talk about politics on a fucking podcast.
You can if you want, dude. Talk about it if you want. Yeah, it ain't bothering me. Talk about whatever you want.
Dude, quarter past 8 in the morning, not a chance I'm talking about politics. Yeah, this one's just basically meant to be like a, hey, think for yourself kind of track, you know? We're bombarded with media that just spins all kinds of shit on everything that both sides of the political parties do, or like basically both sides of the major political parties here in Australia do. So you need to actually just think for a second. Don't just spit some rhetoric that you heard somewhere just because, you know, it sort of resonated with you. Actually sort of dig a little bit deeper and don't just fall into a herd.
Oh yeah. I mean, I live in Florida. Florida's a beautiful state. I grew up here, but politically it's scary, you know. But it's beautiful, but it's, you know, it's kind of scary.
I can understand, yeah. I think there's also kind of that running joke of the Florida man.
Yes, I'm familiar with that.
I think based off some of the stuff that I have seen come out of media from Florida, whilst it doesn't look like a beautiful area for sure, we'd love to see it. Sure we'll get to it at some point soon enough.
Awesome.
I feel you on that. I think we're on the same page there.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see, track Nonheretics, Vow.
So this is like the religion song.
Okay.
Again, it felt, I didn't really sort of want to just sort of play into that cliche, but again, you know, it sort of felt like it was sort of essential for me to do so. So part of the driver for this one actually was really because in Ballarat, our hometown, there's a church where a quite esteemed member of that church, actually, and quite a high up member of that church, is a convicted child abuser. So it only seemed fitting to do a song that was aimed squarely at organised religion for that sort of exact reason. I tried to sort of stray away from doing something too cliche in terms of the lyrical content, but This is just basically the fuck organised religion. It's very easy for people to sort of get absorbed into, I suppose, an almost sort of cult-like state. Just eradicate the paedophilic monarchy. That's the big one. Right.
Yeah, America is, in my opinion, is built on church and state, and it's not supposed to be, but it is, and it's bad, and that stuff is very real here, unfortunately, as well. So it's
very, very much so the same here. Said I wouldn't ramble, but said politicians that were sort of the focus of the Foundation lyrics. They're basically just best mates and in bed with one of the largest churches that is in Australia.
Sure.
So yes, it does. It just sort of goes hand in hand. A lot of this sort of shit does get either swept under the rug or not necessarily given the actual attention and focus that it deserves. So yeah, I know what it's like.
Yeah, it's
living in a great world.
It's a big shit show. Track 10, the final track, A Great Ruinous D. Is it A Great Ruinous Deed?
Yes, yeah. So this was another one that I sort of wanted to leave a little bit more ambiguous in terms of the actual intended point of it. From my perspective, at least, ruinous deed is just meant to refer to conflict and violence and murder and death, and the pain that we instill on other people. It's kind of meant to be, I suppose, like the point of enlightenment in the track, or in the album rather. Right. This track is supposed to be where, it's a point of realization where I've come to realize that there is more to just all of this shit that we sort of live with through life, and that if we can't all kind of recognize that once we are gone, once we're dead and it's years from now, the only things that are sort of going to remain are the legacy that we leave behind. So what kind of legacy are we sort of leaving in place,
Absolutely, yeah. I wanted to ask you about your tour cycle, but I have to ask you this because I meant to lead with this, if it's okay. So the name of the band, I'm assuming someone or all of you are Nicolas Cage fans, or?
To be honest with you, I'm probably I suppose I wouldn't say the least Nicolas Cage fan out of the band, but I think I'm probably sort of the least cultured on his films. I've only seen the oh my god, what's it called? National Treasure. I think the boys have seen a fair few more of his movies, but I'm actually a little bit slack on that regard. We like him. We're fans. The name itself just sort of came about as a little bit of a joke that just stuck.
Sure.
But yeah, we're always open to collaborations with the big man.
His latest movie, I don't know if you saw it, that came out a few months ago, the one with the cat from Mandalorian, it's where he's playing himself, is really, really good.
Yeah, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
It's great.
I'm not a massive movie person, truthfully. I get distracted and bored halfway through unless it's something that sort of really captivates me. But it is absolutely on my watch list for sure. A lot of his movies are definitely on my watch list. I just need to actually set aside the time to actually do it.
Absolutely. Con Air is a good one. That's the one I would tell you.
Yeah, I have definitely heard that one thrown around a lot. That's towards the top of the list to watch.
It's a good one. So let's talk about this tour that you have coming up. Tell us about that.
Yes, yeah. So it kicks off soon, really soon, within about the next 2 weeks, if my dates are correct. We're looking forward to it. So we are playing 5 shows. Sydney, what do we got? Newcastle, Sydney, Melbourne, Ballarat and Adelaide. We're taking along a handful of our mates, so we've got the guys in Teeth, Relapse and Shokan coming along.
Nice.
We met Relapse. Yeah, it's good. It's a good tour, man. Yeah, really cool. They're going to be some heavy shows and some very fun. All wonderful people. We haven't yet met the guys in Teeth before. They did sort of jump on as a replacement because we have had some issues with some other lineups in terms of just getting everybody's schedules to align and COVID and work and whatnot. That, as it is. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to meeting and playing with them. Relapse and Shokan as well. We've played shows with them in the past, and we love their music. We think they're both great bands, and they're all great people to work with as well. We really enjoyed that. So this is basically just going to be a giant tour. There's just a bunch of mates hanging out. Yeah, we couldn't be looking forward to it more. Particularly as well, the Ballarat show, our hometown one, because of COVID and restrictions with venues and whatnot, we haven't actually been able to play a hometown show in almost 3 years.
Shit.
So we're expecting that one in particular to get a little bit chaotic. But then, as well as that, for particularly Sydney and Adelaide, we're also expecting there to be quite large shows because they are also the hometowns of Teeth and Relapse as well. We were hoping to get Brisbane on board, but again, and a couple of other shows actually. We did have some other dates lined up, but again, it all just comes back to logistics and sort of what's feasible at the moment, especially with so many other larger bands touring around now that everything's becoming a little bit more concrete. We didn't sort of want to undercut any of the shows by sort of trying to condense too much in such a short space of time. Yeah, we're looking forward to it, man. It should be fun as hell.
Excellent. And can you talk to me about the recording process and writing process for The Bones That Grew from Pain?
Yeah, of course. So, in terms of like where the writing actually starts, realistically, so Justo just writes riffs. He's a fucking riff machine, man. He's got a really knack for. Oh, it's great, man. He just pumps them out. It's fantastic.
Excellent.
But the riffs that he writes, we all like. I don't think we've really sort of heard anything that he's thrown out that we've disliked by any means. The vast majority of it, we just love it when we hear it. Now, Davo as well, who is also just a drum machine, also on legs. He's got a great knack for hearing a riff that Justo plays and having a very strong idea of the sort of drums that would be really suitable for that would sort of fit into the style of music that we're trying to write. Because Davo definitely does come from more of a like metal and death metal focus rather than the hardcore side of things, but he's very quickly he's sort of blending the two styles really well together. Hence, that's really the foundation of how we sort of get our sound. Bardwell has got a sort of deeper understanding of things like music theory and sort of keys and scales and chords and things like that, and we'll make some sort of minor adjustments and tweaks here and there just to make things a little bit more cohesive. And then I tend to sort of bring my lyrics in towards the end on the later half of things. Because this is sort of like the first proper band that I've been in, at least, it definitely takes me a bit longer to sort of get the creative juices flowing. I definitely don't have as much practice in that sense, so sure. I'm definitely probably the slowest member. But yeah, we flesh out the songs as a whole, and then we go see Kai. So Kai is a good mate of ours who basically just lives like a 5 or 10 minute drive from all of us, and he's got quite a good little home studio set up at his place. So we'll slot in, we'll do pre-pro, we'll make sure that we've got the core foundations of the songs set out. You know, we've got the structures and the way they're going to flow and all the ideas out. We get that recorded down, and then we get the actual recordings done. For the EP, we did get Roman to do the mixing and mastering, but for the album we got Dave Kaminsky from Studio Wormwood in the States to do it for us. So yeah, Kai kind of did like a pre-mix,
sure.
Getting the rough idea of what it is that we want down. Yeah, we just really enjoy working with him because it's a comfortable space. We can sort of butt heads constructively when it comes to the sort of stylistic decisions that we make, but always on good terms as well, which is why we like going there. It's just a comfortable environment. He pushes us to perform really well. Like if we've got an idea that we really believe in that he doesn't like style-wise, he'll basically just say to us, okay, same as anything else, you've just got to do it really fucking well. And yeah, just pushes us, doesn't accept anything less than 100%, which is why we like going there. That's sort of pretty much it. Yeah, just not really too much behind it. We riff, we record, set to go.
You mentioned someone in the States. Is he someone that does he do a lot of records for bands and stuff?
So so Dave Kaminsky of Studio Wormwood, he's worked with bands that are traditionally a little bit more sort of metal than us. I think a bit more sort of doomy and stonery sort of metal bands than something sort of more on the hardcore kind of front. But we were actually put onto him through our connections at Metal Blade Records, and they believed that he'd be a good fit and a good mix for us. And yeah, we sort of clicked with him and got along really well with him from day one as we started getting in touch with him. And yeah, we're really sort of pleased with the product that he's given us, and yeah, it was really, really cool being given the opportunity to work with him, and yeah, we enjoyed it a lot.
Fantastic. And then last thing, before I let you go, can you talk about the album artwork?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually had a fair few different art pieces that we were planning on using. I think so. The album artwork that we actually settled on as the main cover, I think that was actually the third or fourth piece of artwork that we got. So we came across an artist online. I always get his name wrong, but I believe his name was Gabor Toth.
Okay.
I think that was it, Gabor Toth. And so we gave him sort of the title of the album and the rough sort of aesthetic gist of what it was that we wanted. So the sort of theme that we ran with visually was the idea of the title is that, you know, bones are like a very structural kind of thing. You know, they're the basis of who we are and the foundation of, you know, us. And then to sort of visualize and represent the pain that they stem from, we kind of wanted these sort of characters or this persona that was sort of kind of hollow or frail or fragile, but still sharp and, you know, very kind of in your face or aggressive looking. So we actually have a couple of different pieces of artwork, and I believe there's a total of 3 or 4 bits of artwork that are included with the LP.
Nice.
I'm trying to run back through all of the actual material that we've got.
Cool.
We have got a lot teed up for it. Yeah, I think there's a total of 3 or 4 bits of artwork that you get. This was sort of the one that we thought just worked the best as like a primary cover after we saw them all. There's one which is a very similar type of character, sort of amongst sort of not on his own, basically in like a sort of crowd of other similar characters, and a couple the same type of design that we have for the cover. There's like an alternate shot to that, but yeah, this is the one that we ended up setting on just because we felt it was the most sort of literally in your face sort of design, and yeah, we thought it was a sort of good theme and a good sort of fit for where the lyrics and the concept of the album was meant to end up.
It's great. Thank you so much for sharing everything about the record today. I really appreciate your time. The Bones That Grew From Pain from Nicolas Cage Fodder comes out Friday from Metal Blade Records. Before I let you go, would you mind doing a media plug for me?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find all of our music on Spotify and YouTube through Metal Blade Records. Our music is available on Bandcamp as well. Our record can be purchased on Nerve Gas and through JB Hi-Fi. I can never remember the different distributors for the US, Europe, and UK, but we do have vinyl available for overseas as well as within Australia as well. The album comes out literally tomorrow. One more day. We cannot wait. Yeah, get some riffs up here. Come pit out. Come pit. Come see us.
Awesome, man. I hope we get to do this again sometime. I wish you all the best, and thanks for doing this. I appreciate you getting up early to do this with me. Thank you.
No, hey, thank you for staying up and having me on board, man. It has been really fun. Thank you.
Awesome,
dude. I appreciate
dude.
it a lot.
Have a good rest of your day. I appreciate you.
Thank you, mate. You too.
Phantasm.
And you know something? I sort of enjoyed it.
Phantasm.